Welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, it has been over 5 decades since any new case of polio has been diagnosed in New Zealand, but post-polio syndrome is very much alive. The syndrome usually occurs at least 40 years after the initial diagnosis of polio. Physiotherapist Ms. Jigasothi says the symptoms differ from polio.
What is known, and it's really hypothetical what happened, because essentially polio is supposed to be eradicated. There are a cluster of places where the wild virus still exists, but smaller than before. So people don't assume that polio has been healed as such. So at the onset, there was a massive, it went like epidemic, so people were isolated, farms were isolated. When the SARS, can you remember that when the swine virus and the SARS happened? Everybody wore masks, everybody was isolated. In the polio epidemic, it was a little bit more cruel than that. They took babies away from families, totally put them in isolation, almost 6 months to 1 to 2 years, some of them. And they isolated communities, like they left bread at the end of the driveway. It's truly an epidemic proportion. So that was a huge panic.
A Waikato Regional Council review has found out that up to 15% of the 620 kilometres of stop banks are below the appropriate levels to cope with a 1 in 100 flood event. Councillor Stu Newbone says it is important to have those stop banks rectified.
Well, they protect both towns and agricultural land and allow them to be farmed. Most of a fair proportion of the agricultural land in the Hauraki Plains would be underwater during flood events if it wasn't for the stop banks. The town of Paeroa, for example, in high flood flow, the water level of the Ohinamuri River can be 2 metres above the main street of Paeroa. So clearly, if you didn't have the flood banks there, then Paeroa would be inundated.
Miss Teen Hamilton and Miss Hamilton were crowned at a packed event in the Hall of Sacred Heart Girls College in Hamilton. 22-year-old Kylie Tan took out the Miss Hamilton title and Hannah Muldoon won Miss Teen Hamilton. Kylie says it was amazing to be crowned Miss Hamilton.
It was such an awesome feeling. I was really excited and I totally didn't expect it, and it was just really awesome.
And Hannah?
Yeah, it was unexpected. It was fun. I am looking forward to going up to Auckland and competing for that one.
Plans to redevelop Tauronga's Marine Precinct has stalled after 2 business consortiums have refused to cover the cost of a geotechnical report on the Merrillis Road site in Sulphur Point. Tauranga City Council property manager Anthony Averill says despite strong interest in the site from 2 groups, neither wanted to pay for a survey underneath the 5-hectare site to determine whether it sustained a marine travel lift. Anthony is now preparing a report looking at the Council's options for the proposed marine precinct, which he will present in 2 months' time. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, good news, your weekend is looking lovely and sunny. Saturday, fine early morning frost and light winds, a high of 15 and a low of 4. Sunday, fine early morning frost and light winds, a high of 15 and an overnight low of 3. Tauranga, it's good news for you too. Saturday and Sunday are fine with early morning frost and light winds. Your high for Saturday is 15 and a low of 7. Your high for Sunday is 16 and your low is 6. Up next, we find out about the new Avanti Dome in Cambridge.